Peace be upon you, Hetep and Salam. This is Amir Fatir, and I'm discussing with you in Future Science, the racists are at it again. First, they tried to trick the world into believing ancient Egypt was built and populated by white Europeans. After a while, such a claim could not stand under the weight of its own ridiculousness, so they shifted the credit to Hyksos, Arabs, or any Semitic, nearly white barbarian tribe they could imagine. The great Afrocentric scholars blew that pseudo-scholarship out of the water. Now they're regrouping. This time, they're genetically modifying history to give credit for ancient black Kemet to Indians. I guess next they'll claim Kemet was peopled by Eskimos. Why is it so hard for racists to pretend to be scholars to admit that the spectacular achievements of Africa were the accomplishments of Africans? Examples of the current desperate attempt to turn Kemet and Ethiopia into products of India can be found in the writings of Bidhu Dev Misra. Having found certain similarities between Kemetic beliefs and some later Indian ones, Bidhu leads to the Eureka moment. Egypt got all its glory from India. In a nutshell, here's the real deal. Black African Ethiopians and Kamal, black Egyptians, established civilization from Africa through the Middle East into India and even to Japan and China. These jet-black, nappy-headed master civilizers ruled in Spain, Sumer, Russia, where you get the term Black Russia, Arabia, Persia, Ireland, where you get the term Black Irish, Italy, France, England, and North and South America. These highly educated technicians, scientists, were called many names, including Etruscans, Chaldeans, Cushites, Ainu, Anu, Rishi, and more. For the record, let me state here that America was named after these small black scientific technicians named the Amirs. America, the two great continents, are not named after Amerigo Vespucci. They are named after the Amir Ikas, or the spirit of the Amirs. Just as the white Boers fled back to Europe when blacks regained majority rule in Zimbabwe and Azania, South Africa, so did Africans flee back to Ethiopia and Egypt when their rule was toppled by white invaders such as the Vedantic invaders who defeated the black Dravidians who created yoga and the wonderful sciences in India. In waves over hundreds of years, the colonizers fled west to escape the apartheid-promoting caste system whites. Bidhu would have you believe that refugees were the founders of Kemet and Ethiopia. Although India has contributed next to nothing to Africa, India owes everything to Africa. The god Vishnu comes from the Kemetic god Nu, or Anu. Shiva comes from the Ethiopian Shiva, whose name, which is 7, reflects advanced knowledge of the 7 chakras. Bidhu, strike that. Buddha, called Po, P-O, was a nappy-headed black Ethiopian who was an expression of the Kemetic deity Anu, or Mercury. The very name of ancient India, Rama, comes from a son of Cush named Rama. See Genesis. Bidhu makes the claim that India is Punt, the homeland of the Kamal, yet the Kamal or Kamau leave no doubt of their origin in the interior of Africa and even give the picture of a pygmy as their ancestor and the gods Asa and Beth. Ethiopia and then Kemet headquartered a truly global government system. Many of the legendary kings of Europe were but local governors under black Kemetic rule and were themselves black Africans. We will not build the false histories of the old world into the mortar of the new world of Anu or Aquarius. We have to expose racist pseudo-scholarship wherever and whenever it dares to show its ugly face. Bibhu's evidence of Amun's Indian origin, and evidence is in quotes, is that Amun or Amun was once spelled Yamin, Y-M-N, and there's a sacred river, Yamun, in India, which is intimately tied up with the childhood of Krishna, according to Bibhu. So let's see. Followers of Krishna colonized Ethiopia, whose people then brought the Indian god to Egypt, but instead of bringing the god's name, they named the god after the god's river. Does that make any sense at all? It's far more probable that followers of Amun, or Yaman, as Bibhu prefers, went to India and named a river after their god. People name rivers after gods, not gods after rivers. The Tem-Isis is a river named after the Kemetic god Tem and the Kemetic goddess Isis. The river Hapi is named after the god Hapi, which is now called the River Nile. Real history shows that Ethiopians established colonies in Egypt, and remnants of the early civilizations remain in various names in the Tamil language that's close to the Ethiopian Amharic. Let me be clear. The Kamal, Ethiopian, Nubian, Chaldean, Canaanite, Sumerian, Dravidian, Etruscan, Ainu, Rishi, Sabian, Nabatean, Dashus, Olympian, Atlantean, Ad, and Thamud are all the same people. If it weren't necessary to protect our children's minds from racist tricks like white Charleston Heston playing Black Moses, it wouldn't matter whether black Indians went to Ethiopia or black Ethiopians went to India. But we must be ever alert to protect posterity from the evil whispering of the slinking devil, the subtle beast who knows lies about history and religion, help a small minority rule and suck up the resources of a great majority. They stole it, and you must return it. Bibhu wants you to believe that Indians inserted Krishna worship as Amun into Egypt 1500 BC. The Theban New Kingdom was functioning 1580 BC, some 80 years before the Aryan Vedantic whites conquered the Dravidian blacks of India and pushed their Vedic gods. So if the Amun-based New Kingdom existed 80 years before the Vedantic conquest of India, it is not possible for Indians to have installed it when Amun was...
You have 1 minute remaining.
So if the Amun-based New Kingdom existed 80 years before the Vedantic conquest of India, it is not possible for Indians to have installed it when Amun was already quite popular. Moreover, Amun was strongly featured in the Pulse or Company of the Gods in Cuman circa 2050 BC, 450 years before the Aryan conquest in India. This was the major theological theory of the Middle Kingdom. That concludes part 1 of this section. Continuing with the racists are at it again. Although Bibhu wants to equate Amun with Krishna, Heru, son of Aset, or Isis, is much closer to the Krishna identity than Amun. He tries to equate Amun, Mut, and Kunsu with Krishna, the fair-skinned Balaram, and Subhadra. The very name Balaram shows it was borrowed from the jet-black Canaanite, Baal, or Baal, which means Lord, and Ram, Lord Ram. Ram was a deity of Mesopotamia and the Middle East. Now, Arthur was the principal god of the Ammonite Eden. But in ancient India, the Arthurs are demons. Does anyone think the Indians would bring their gods to Egypt, but then name the most important one, Arthur or Osiris, after their devil? That's like Christians bringing their religion to America, but instead of calling their god Jesus, they decide to call him Lucifer. Brahman was the hidden, but Krishna was apparent, had form, color, girlfriends, drove a chariot, and held conversations with Arjuna. Brahman is equivalent to the Indian idea of nirvana. It represents the complete undifferentiation of energy, matter, consciousness, and that lack of differentiation makes it imperceptible or hidden. Brahman symbolizes the true reality of God, man, that is to say, totally free of conditioning, samskaras, and superimposition. In some scriptures, this is called a particular person or prophet or deity being naked, as in Anna had to be naked when she went to the underworld. Noah was said to be naked in his tent, and Adam and Eve were said to be naked and not ashamed. This symbolism, naked, means free of conditioning to samskaras or programs operating in their consciousness. The river from Krishna's feet symbolizes the chi energy stream that flows from the K1 acupuncture meridian behind the ball of the feet. The Comitians, the Kamal, made regular pilgrimages to Punt, the land of their origin. They had no doubt about where they came from. Punt was at present Somalia, the Horn of Africa. They even presented two pygmies, Bes and Asa, as indicative of their ancestral deities. But good old Bibhu says that they were confused. Their Punt was, you guessed it, India. Racism is a serious charge. Some racists are so steeped in it, they cannot even recognize their own sickness. Saltwater fish probably don't taste salt either. It's that pervasive. Every people on earth automatically are credited with the accomplishments on their land after compelling, irrefutable evidence to the contrary. That is, except Africans. Every great African achievement, from Great Zimbabwe to the Sudanese and Kemetic pyramids, had to be the work of some, quote, fair-skinned invader, end quote. When you find your mind turning in that direction, consider this. You just might be a racist or a Stockholm Syndrome victim of one. Thank you for your time and attention. May Rob bless you.